We can't even get good to work. We couldn't even go to bed last night without these two dusting up again. Carly Red, if you don't get out of my room, I'm getting tired of the both of them at this juncture. But Nicki is always the one to start it. So let's go through the timeline. It all began when Cardi B publicly announced that her second studio album, Am I the Drama, went double platinum. Nicki, of course, had to put a photo of an eagle in flight on her Twitter. Now, why is this? Because because Cardi has the crows on her album, so the eagle is big bird energy coming for Cardi's crows. So after that, Cardi's like, the power I have making these heifers come out of rehab. Go to your room, Cocaine Barbie. And so then Nicki starts talking about rap surgeries and Rico beefs, but Cardi's like, I'm gonna tell it to your face. I'm coming at you. I'm not doing these subliminal bars. So Nicki says A, B, C, D, E, F, G, surgery to look like me. Tell Rat and tell Jay-Z, Rico fraud and perjury. Cardi said, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, your man have to snatch Ussy. Ussy tastes like honeycomb. Your bro be touching 12-year-olds. That would have shut me up. But oh no, not her. Then Carly says, why? Why are you worried about me and my album? You came out when I was in high school. When I was in high school. When I was in high school. High school. When I was the legal responsibility of my parents. Cardi is 32 and dropped her first song in 2017. Nicki is 42 and dropped her first song in 2010. These things are mathematical facts that cannot be changed. I was in high school. That did it for me. I was in high school. I was in high school. Why are you warring continuously and consistently? You've been warring with her since 2017. We are almost a full decade into this feud. A full decade. Aren't you tired? Yes, this is live. Aren't you tired? I'm tired. And I know you've got to be tired. You have a child, a whole child. And then Cardi hit you with some Dr. Jackie shade. She said, you want to talk about me and my kids while you were running around from fertility clinic to fertility clinic because those Percocets poached your eggs. Now, those were her words. I'm not Dr. Jackie. I'm not getting out here saying, you're infertile. I didn't say it. Cardi said it. I don't know about it. I see, that's how much I care about Nicki Minaj. I don't follow her fertility schedule. Her ovulation is not top of my mind. So I don't know what's going on. Don't care either. Don't care. But why are you beefing with someone for 10 you ain't got shit to show? Also, where are the diss tracks? The fact that now you want to do a diss 10 years in, you've never given us any meaningful. Where is your sheather? Where is your sheather? That's right. You never got into it with Cardi on battle rap because you got sheathered. I forgot. I forgot, but Pepperidge Farm remembered. Where is your sheather? Where is your sheather? And Cardi gagged her again, gagged at 42. Do you see me getting out here fussing, fighting, and farting with these people? No, that is a young man's game. There comes a point when it's like, you know what? I have a little dignity. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. And never responded to Sheether. Got bodied like Meek Mill. Never responded. So now that Cardi has come out with her album, and here's the thing, you have had to, now here's where Cardi has won the game with longevity. Cardi has been out since 2017 and has put out 2 albums that are well received, double platinum, and this is double platinum 2 days after being out. It's on its meteoric rise. You have had to come out with album year after year after year, while Cardi has still remained just as musically and culturally relevant. Isn't that fascinating? I find it fascinating, but that's just me. Cardi did sell a few albums less in a recession. That's true. That is true. Cardi also hadn't come out with anything in 7 years and still has a number 1. So when you have been out of the game for that long and decide to batter up, long as you're hitting home runs, they're home runs and you're taking all the bases. Me and Nicki, the same age. Girl, me and Nicki are the same age too. And this is what and a millionaire, not just the same age, but a millionaire. Well, that is up for debate because you can look up and see all of her debt. Yeah. But she still has more access to the money than we, us regular people, do. And this is how she spends her time. Instead of enjoying her child and her felon, and God, that marriage has just shit on her career. Her brother really did shit on it, but then this piss poor choice drove it home. She was putting 7-year-old songs on a new album, and guess what? It still went double platinum. That's all I have to say. It still went double platinum. But if you are the queen of rap, why are you concerning yourself with the pennies of peasants? If you think so much of yourself, why do you care about Cardi? Why does she run across the windmills of your mind day in, day out? Same old hoodoo follows you about. Why? I want to know why do you wake up and she's what's making your twat twitch, not your husband? And why hasn't your music gotten any better? Cardi said you should be worrying about your peers. Drake, Taylor Swift, and that ilk. People who came out in the 2010s. She didn't even say Beyonce. She's like, look, you got your little feature, but we ain't even gonna act like that. Cardi next album gonna drop in 2040. And I feel like this is her last album. I feel like this is Cardi's last album. She gonna give us 2 bangers and go do a movie or something. Also, Why do you care about an artist that only come out with an album every 7 years? Why are you concerned? Why are you worrying about somebody where you come out with the album every year? You stay in the studio trying to pay off them loans. Why are you worried about somebody that's coming out with an album every 7 years? It'll be 2040 before you're going to hear from this heifer again. Beyonce is 90s. True, true. She's been doing it longer. How you got a boyfriend in a marriage and then kids on top of kids with the man that cheats on her as soon as she walks out the door? That's not the issue. The issue is, why is Nicki concerned with Cardi? Also, if this is true, I mean, neither one of these women are really winning in the men department. Let's go on and say that. We can have that conversation. I never supported those choices. However, it's not up for me to support because I don't watch her kids. It's not my pussy, so I can't tell her who should play with it and who shouldn't. It's not my business, so I don't care. The issue is, why is Nicki also focused on this as a millionaire with better things to do? When I woke up, I was like, okay, I knew I needed to talk about this because this is what I do for a living. I've been telling these jokes forever. But when I'm not working, this is not what runs across the windmills of my mind. I think about, what park am I going to take Bronx to today? That's what I would be thinking if I was Nicki. What park am I going to take this kid to today that my husband can also accompany, even though he can't be around children because he's on the registry? I'd be trying to solve that conundrum rather than caring about Cardi. She feels like Lil' Kim felt. I don't think Lil' Kim cared. I think when Lil' Kim got out of prison, she was like, I think then she realized she was legacy. But I think her goal was to be a legacy act. And she's happy with being the legendary Lil' Kim. Nicki isn't happy being the queen of rap for a decade. She's just not, and it's sad. Nicki has to go to court on Halloween. Trick or treat. That judge gonna tell your husband trick or treat. You're still getting sued. I mean, Cardi's just getting divorced. And Cardi, the father of Cardi's children, can be around Cardi's children. And their friends. Upset can drop them kids off at school. At school! Your man can. Your man can. And that's going to be an uncomfortable conversation as your child progresses in age. Ain't no sleepovers. Ain't no sleepovers. How will you explain that to her? To him? Inquiring minds. But that's family stuff. Family planning, actually. And that's the family that you planned. I'd be worrying about that. I would be worrying about that. That would be my issue. I would be concerned about, how am I going to tell my kid it's going to be tough for you to play with other kids unless I'm there? You know, that. But also, I feel like with that ilk, and I do mean ilk of men, you weren't going to get much hands-on parenting anyway. The shade of it all, and these are things that Cardi doesn't have to worry about. So if we're gonna bring it up, then we have to bring it all up. Let's get to the rooter and the tutor if we gonna bring it up. If we're gonna talk about choices, if we're gonna talk about family planning, then let's talk about it all. Let's mention it all. Let's mention it all. Because you have a parent that can't even get within 500 feet of a school zone. So I'm Cardi winning already. Cardi wins. On that note alone, on the registry alone, the only registry Cardi worried about is Nordstrom's or Target. You're worried about a different type of registry. So in family planning, Cardi wins. In family planning, Cardi wins. That husband was a choice. A choice! Choice! Joyce! What are you doing, Joyce? Shout out to Al Reynolds. But yes, let's talk about the husbands. Now, Upset may have run through some money. This is true. We're going to mention it all. He may throw the dice. He may throw the dice. I would still rather deal with that than a registry. Because Upset can go to his kid's school plays. Your child's father can't go to a school play, a recital, a sports game. Can't do none of that. So I would stay far from farting around with family in this situation. You know, we could talk about it. I mean, Stefan may have some accusations out there. At least it's an adult. An adult. I ain't saying it make it right, but it's an adult. An adult. Tell these girls, pick your man like you pick your Birkin bags. Cardi won't ever reign supreme. You see, here's the thing. And I think nothing proves this more than not coming out with an album for 7 years. Cardi doesn't care. Cardi enjoys being a celebrity, and her rap is what she kind of uses to keep it all going. She has said this. She's never tried to be nobody's queen. She's not claiming that title. Nicki is the one that wants the crown. Nicki is the one obsessed with that crown. Cardi don't care about that. Yes, they all have very poor taste in men, and they should all stop bringing them up because they are trash. If you got a Birkin with no money in it, twerk a pole or walk the stroll. White people threw her out when they heard Nicki bought a house in Beverly Hills. She lives on Sunset. She don't live in nobody's Beverly Hills. She lives on Sunset. It's adjacent. It's a nice house, I guess. But I just thought the queen of rap would have something nicer. But there's no accounting for taste. Look at that husband. Look at that husband. So I'm not surprised. I bet you the same person that sold Rihanna house sold her home. Because you know Rihanna had to sell her home in LA because they showed her basically a shack on a fault line. It was sad. She had put a lot of money into that house. And what did Dorit say about Sunset? Exactly. Main road. Living on a main road in Los Angeles. The only thing separating you from Gen Pop is your husband and that hedge. Actually, you got Gen Pop in the house. You got Gen Pop in the house. Sunset. And her address just out here like legs spread. I wasn't even looking for it and I found it. I was like, oh, that's Nicki's house? Well, you did all that touring, but it's not like she's a great dancer. She just gets on stage and, does her little rap and the show goes on around her. Now, I wonder why Crystal didn't have that energy for Nicki, but she had it. I mean, but she had it for Cardi. Like, other than Beyonce, who really be getting on stage and doing a whole bunch of pop, lock, and drop it? Who? Who gets on stage and really shimmies? I would say Normani, but we've never seen her on tour. I'd love to say her, but that never happened because the album was uncelebrated and unlistened to. Sierra. Now, see, there we go. Now, see, there we go. Now, Sierra didn't have, well, she only has 2 baby fathers, but nobody got on Sierra because Sierra did quote unquote Sierra's prayer. But she still took a chance. It just worked out. That's the thing. We all have to be a little nicer. All relationships are taking a chance where it's like, is it going to work? He could have been a regular football player or acted like a regular football player. We didn't know he was, the romantic Jesus. Sierra moved on with class. Crystal 100% has that energy for Nicki. Oh, good. I wish that episode had also gotten the same traction and press. Sierra still misses that life. No, she doesn't. Sierra has hits. Sierra tours. She just came out with the album and she's independent and she owns her masters. He bought them for her. Well, I just find it fascinating that at 42, this is what you have to do. Now, I've never been rich at 42 where you ain't got to worry about, retirement, health care. You're not thinking about your future. Your future's set. You're going to be paying that bank forever. So you know what you'll be doing. So I've never, maybe when you don't have, oh my God, there's a bee in here. And a big old hornet. I'll get it. I'll get it. How did this get in here? Oh, I have the bathroom window open. Sorry. It's very distracting because it's like, don't get me. That's on the wall. Anyway, at 42, this is what you've got going on. I feel sorry for you. You need to find better ways to spend your money. But I guess with a felon, international travel is out. With that violent history, I don't know what country would take him. Can he even get a passport as a felon? Can he? Mendices was able to get one, even though Yandy still hasn't paid off his restitution. That was the smartest thing she ever did. Now, we can get on, speaking of piss poor choices in men, now we can get on Yandy for a lot, and we will. And we will. That's why she gets on the show to keep us talking, so we gonna bump our gums. It's what you want. But the smartest thing she did was never marry him to pay that federal restitution. She said, you may get my honey, but you ain't getting this money. So I'm proud of her for that. All right, well, these heifers start going at it again. I will come back and cover it, but I'll see you soon.